Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Sphumelele Zondi. Edu Week took place in the last week. A lot of education technology was showcased there. We'll tell you about it this evening. We also met up with top South African YouTubers and spoke about how they managed to make a living from their popularity online. We'll also go to Kenya, where low-cost innovation is improving things in the health sector. It was International Media Day a few days ago. Our discussion will chat about the many uses of social media with Levi Kabwato. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za and email. Let's start with your technology and social media news. Now, Edu Week has been showcasing some new tools that can be used to improve education. Some experts at the event stressed the need to improve teachers' understanding of new tech tools. It's evident that education, like many other things, is going digital. At Edu Week, sponsored by the SABC, most exhibitors were showcasing their technology tools and how they can help in the quality of education. Some stressed that these tools alone won't improve the quality of education.
You just can't go to a school and start teaching teachers on how to use technology, not understanding what they want to do, because it's all about how technology can assist them to do their work better. It's not about teaching It's not about teaching them about the technology. It's about how they can use the technology to do their works better. It's teaching with the technology. The whole focus would be on how can I use the technology to, for example, present lessons better, to make sure students are more engaged in what I teach, to make sure that my own administration as a teacher is improved through the technology.
There's still a huge worry that most young people are digital natives, and therefore it's teachers that need the extra push.
The 21st century classroom is a flipped classroom where you're getting kids coming into the classroom who actually know more about the subject matter than their teachers. And the way they know that is about technology, and because they're so technology savvy. So what we need is the teachers to be on a level playing field and make those classes interesting and engaging and exciting, what we call things like project-based learning and gaming in learning.
Some were here to showcase their new inventions, like this tool to check if people can hear properly.
1 in every 12 children have got some form of hearing impairments in the classroom. It can range from normal wax build-up straight up to noise-induced hearing loss. The system goes in, we test with the kudu wave onto the child. We first do a screening. If the child fails the screening, we go back and retest the frequencies that the child failed. Third time a child fails, we go back to those same frequencies. So we're checking ourselves all the time to make sure that the child can actually not hear those frequencies. Once they fail that, they go on to diagnostic. Diagnostic is when the bone conduction gets put on their forehead, and we do a further diagnostic testing to find out exactly where that impairment is. Referrals straight to your GP, ENT or audiologist.
I also tried on the eMoyome screening kit, and it seems all is in order with my hearing. Then there's the never-ending worry of cybersecurity. SafetyNet helps teachers with information of what to do when dealing with their pupils' phones.
They're not really allowed to have their phones with them, but they do. And it's important for teachers to understand, what does the law say? What are the tools available for them to protect themselves, to protect the kids? And how do they actually help a child who has a cyber-related issue? So, for instance, if there's a child at school with pornography on his or her phone, how do they actually deal with it then? Do they go to the police? Do they go to confiscate the phone? Do they call the parents? And these are things that they have to understand. First of all, what is legally binding. Secondly, how to handle the situation in an appropriate way for the sake of their child.
Then there are those who think learning should be fun. EdBooks has a social network and a game promoting books and reading. They feel the best way to test the game is with the children visiting the Edu Week exhibition.
It's our first game, EdBook game, where we have our characters chased by bullies, trying to collect books and gaining points.
The stress of worrying about which tools and ideas to take and implement in schools is now mostly with government. Parents are probably also stressing about which gadgets to purchase in order to improve their children's learning while also remaining safe. Edu Week helps with showcasing some of those options. The Startup Tel Aviv competition has concluded. This time, it's only women who are allowed to enter.
The Startup Tel Aviv competition has selected its winner. This year, they decided to open it up only to women. The winner, Webfluential, links social media influencers to companies that uses their services.
It's such an incredible thing for us to be able to go out into international markets and get exposure from companies and entrepreneurs and big corporations that have an understanding of scale in the global market that sometimes when we're young and we sort of immature in business, we don't know.
This competition is in its 4th year now. 30 countries are participating.
We're looking for something which is innovative and which is scalable, which can be scaled up to a bigger market even globally, that can rank itself and compete in an international competition among other startups.
Most of the startups that entered aimed at solving socio-economic issues with their ideas. Webfluential will be traveling to the DLD Tech Festival in Tel Aviv in September.
Well, congratulations to the winner there. Now, doctors and healthcare workers in Kenya are betting on low-cost innovations from the country's engineering students to stem maternal and infant deaths. Sarah Kimani tells us about their innovation.
This is a phototherapy machine, and it's used to cure jaundice in kids. Once you expose the baby to this blue light.
On a mission to save lives, this is the Maker Space, a fabrication lab, or a fab lab as they are globally known, situated at the University of Nairobi. Here, healthcare workers and young engineers are seeking solutions on low-cost, high-quality, easy-to-use and maintain medical equipment. The first project is to come up with innovations that will see a reduction in Kenya and eventually Africa's high maternal and infant deaths.
The process that we go through is called design thinking. So we work very closely with the clinicians so that whatever has gone into the design, they have participated. So it's not something that's foreign to them. We didn't sit somewhere and make it and then just present it to them. So we worked hand in hand over 3 years to develop all the products that we do with them.
For many healthcare professionals and healthcare facilities in Africa, the cost of equipment and maintenance is always out of reach. This means affordability for most of Africa's poorest remains a pipe dream. The Makerspace at the University of Nairobi is hoping to change that through innovations that are local. In most cases, the medical equipment is imported. The heavy traffic in public hospitals means breakdowns are regular. The repairs in most cases are unaffordable, as experts must come from outside the country.
There's a shortage of biomedical engineers, and basically the maintenance people are not available in Kenya. So we thought that if we could manufacture this equipment in Kenya, then we can actually provide maintenance.
And this is where the University of Nairobi's health and engineering departments meet.
There's a height adjustment section here.
We had a long list of about 8. We've made 3 devices so far. One of them is a phototherapy unit that is designed to treat it's a long-term hyperbilirubinemia or jaundice. And that is at the early stages of prototype. We have one which is at more advanced, which is a suction machine, which helps with controlling infections in the ward or in the delivery room.
The venture startup capital runs into millions of dollars. The university has partnered with Concern Worldwide, an Irish charity, to see this dream come to fruition. The phototherapy machine is drawing excitement among the donors, innovators, and doctors alike.
One of the reasons why we decided to invest in the treatment of jaundice with the phototherapy machine is because the phototherapy machine is very expensive. And if we can be able to get low-cost, high-quality, locally manufactured prototypes and products from Kenya, that would reduce the cost, and we would stop seeing the situation that we are seeing in our hospitals where we have up to 3 newborns sharing one phototherapy machine.
The prototype machine costs about $1,000, 3 times cheaper than what is in the market now. Doctors are betting on it to reduce deaths and other complications arising from delayed or lack of treatment for jaundice due to inadequate machines. Treatment for jaundice involves the exposure of the baby to blue light.
Here's what else we've been keeping an eye on in the last week.
The world celebrated International Social Media Day on Friday, July 1st. We at Network took to the streets of Johannesburg to find out which social media platforms do people use and why.
WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram mostly. That's like the 4 main major that I use. Instagram, I use it to check trends, fashion trends, because they blog about them.
I use Snapchat, I use Facebook, I use Twitter, Instagram. I basically have most of them, yeah.
So what do you use them for?
I use them to socialize, basically. So social media, socializing with people that I know, getting to know more people.
Still on home ground, data, voice and IP provider Liquid Telecoms has partnered with South African investment group Royal Bafokeng Holding in the acquisition of one of South Africa's communications network operator, Neotel.
The last couple of years, Neotel has faltered because of, allegations of mismanagement as well as corruption. We know that these allegations have risen all the way to the top of that particular organization. Despite this, they continue to be a major player within fixed line services as well as data services. So for consumers, what does this mean? It means that the restoration of confidence in this business, and if it were to grow, it just means a great competitor, a worthy competitor to all the major players in the field right now.
The announcement of the acquisition was made on Tuesday. The transaction is subject to approval by South African regulatory authorities and is expected to be completed later this year. Now heading over to Eastern Europe. By mid-July, the Uber application in Hungary could be banned, leaving more than 150,000 users stranded. The Hungarian parliament passed legislation earlier this month that allows the country's transportation authority to block access to taxi dispatcher services that lack necessary government approval in a move targeted partly against the ride-sharing service Uber. Uber drivers say they have complied with all regulations and do not understand the new law.
It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. After the break, we chat social media and political campaigning with Levi Kapato. Stay with us.
There is a sign for perfectionism. There's a sign for goosebumps. Something that symbolizes more performance. A sign for a special mindset. There is a sign for everything we stand for. Audi Sport, born on the track. Built for the road. Join the League of Performance.
Welcome back and thank you for being a part of our network, SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Now, as we heard earlier in the program, it was International Social Media Day recently. We caught up with some of South Africa's top YouTubers to find out if they are now able to see the spin-offs from their popularity online. YouTube is a platform many creative South Africans are now starting to visit to share their content. Some of the top YouTubers in South Africa are even finding methods of making money from their popularity on social media and are using the platform to share new African narratives.
We kind of came late to everything when it comes to the internet, and now we're catching up. And I think for us, YouTube is specifically important because we have a huge amount of youth. We have a huge young people population, and they often feel that their voices aren't being heard. And YouTube is a great way to do that. It's important for Africa in terms of opening us up to the world and seeing what is happening out there, and important for the rest of the world to see also inside what's happening in Africa. And it gives us an opportunity to tell our stories. Africa the way Africans see it.
I'm Claire, and I want you to join me in the kitchen.
Some of the popular pages on YouTube include Claire Winstanley's Good Looking and Cooking. She's a former cooking TV producer who has decided to share her tips in the kitchen on the site.
Of course. Okay.
Tangier Mosley has become a popular stand-up comedian from her YouTube page, Tangier Comedy. Her Zulu comedy makes fun of South African popular culture, norms and traditions.
angeke balonke.
Animator Jonas Lekanyane of the Rams comedy page says he's managed to make a living from the money that comes in because of the popularity of his animation on his YouTube page.
I'm not really consistent with my uploads because I always get sidetracked by companies wanting me to do jobs for them, but then I am always consistent with my concept. So I make sure that I invest as much punchlines in a single video as possible.
YouTube South Africa says popularity on YouTube doesn't depend on the type of camera or technology used, as viewers want good content. They say corporates should, however, not change YouTubers in order to keep their authenticity when they collaborate with them.
A lot of the barriers to entry that they were previously in place have now changed with smartphones, right? Now almost anybody with a smartphone is able to become a YouTuber. So I think you're seeing the rapid growth in YouTubers as a result, and a lot of the way they monetize is to actually start partnering with brands.
With YouTube, one doesn't rely on television stations or a big brand to share their content. All they need is something as basic as a smartphone, and they can upload. Viewers will only come if there is good content that they're interested in. Now joining me in studio to talk about other uses of social media, like political campaigning, is media analyst Levi Kabwato. Hello and thank you for being a part of our network, sir.
Thanks, good evening.
Now, social media and political campaigning, is social media a good space for political campaigns?
It is becoming a very good space for political campaigns. This is usually traced back to Barack Obama's election in 2008. And ever since that time, we've seen a lot of political parties trying to use social media as a way to reach out, to spread their messages, and also to win votes. So there is a very interesting trend developing, especially on the African continent as well, where we're seeing a lot more political parties engaging in the use of social media to spread their message and also to reach out to would-be supporters. And it's still to be seen whether this can actually translate into useful votes, but I think it's quite necessary.
Do you think that Africans, and South Africa also has an election coming up, a local government election, do you think they're doing it right? Barack Obama did it right in 2008, we saw that, but do you think that we're doing it right here in Africa?
Yeah, I'll also tell you of a country that did it right, and it was Ghana in 2008 as well, during their December election. I happened to be in Ghana at the time covering that election as well, and there was that use of social media. But at that time, you know, he had very few users on Twitter and Facebook, so the trend has quite grown. Here in South Africa, it's quite massive over the past few months leading up to the August local government elections. There has been a lot of activity, especially from the leading political parties, to want to engage, to want to be seen, and to want to also compete. So that's going to be quite interesting as well, as we see maybe studies forming in the next couple of months or years as well.
But then again, you can also get other narratives that possibly political parties do not want to happen on social media.
Absolutely, because it's something that you're not entirely in control of, as it were. Previously, you had only a few entities like your mainstream media controlling the narrative around that. Nowadays, all you have are individual users and people engaging directly with whatever platform you put out there for them to engage. So you're not always going to be in control of what's going on. For instance, earlier on today, somebody set up a Twitter account saying, call Musi back. And apparently this person was annoyed with DA.
The phone calls we've all been getting from Musi Maimane.
Exactly. So they set up a Twitter account and say, this is Musi Maimane's number, call him back and show him how irritating it is to be called. All right. So whereas DA supporters would be quite happy to have those calls and to engage on social media, now DA have to manage this as it is emerging.
And if we look at the rest of the African space, we do know that there have been campaigns that have brought about the end of leaders around the African continent, the Arab Spring, for example.
Absolutely. And again, when social media were introduced, or when the usage in Africa started coming up, we had a lot of talk about how they were democratizing tools, how they gave people a voice, gave people power, and subsequently a lot of regime changes have been attributed to that activity. At the same time, in recent times, you've also seen how governments have tried to block social media as well. So in probably in an apparent attempt to say, let's shut these guys out, they don't say anything, and we remain in power. So it's becoming increasingly a space of huge contestation within the political spectrum. And again, this is where you begin to say to citizens, stand up for what you believe in. So if social media is working in your country, then probably try to defend that space against closure. I think the more open social media are, the better for democratization in Africa.
Levi, though, there's another opinion that says we're giving social media too much credit with, for example, the Arab Spring. They're saying it didn't really happen on social media, it happened on the ground.
Yeah, obviously, how do you translate the number of tweets into people on the street? But what we're also learning is that there are new methods that are emerging of political engagement in various countries. So it's not entirely useful to totally dismiss and say probably social media are elitist. A lot of people have been marginalized, but still I think it's a useful space, it's needed, and it can only help Africa democratize going forward.
All right, Smita, and Leslie Vakapato, thank you very much for being a part of our network tonight.
You're welcome.
All right, sure. Now this week we caught up with singer Lyra, and she told us what her favorite piece of technology is.
My favorite piece of technology is my laptop, because I literally run my whole business on there, and I can make music on it. So it's really, really convenient. In order to make music, I do need a little sound card and a little mic, but not necessarily. This is when I want it to be pristine that I do that.
For the times we've been the missing part, so
Usisiwe Jamsana, SABC News, Alice.
Mzwandilembe, SABC News, Doha, Qatar. Kunatibingwa SABC News, Alice.
Diabo Seto, SABC News, Geneva, Switzerland.
Nampumelo Siziba, SABC News, Moscow, Russia.
Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.
Craig Murray, SABC News, Stellenbosch.
We bring the news back home. We keep the nation fully informed.
News Network at sabc.co.za and email. Welcome back. Now let's see what some people have been sharing on social media. Many on social media have been sharing photos of their fashion at the Vodacom Durban July. As always, it seems this year was more about the clothes than about the horse race. Alleged politically motivated killings within the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal have been trending. People have been using the hashtag ANCKZN. The resignation of senior leaders of the National Freedom Party has been a topic of interest for some. And that's all we have for you. We leave you with a video of the International Robo Cup taking place in Leipzig, Germany. These robots are showing football players at the Euro 2016 how it's actually done. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za and email. From me, Siphumelele Zondi and the rest of the network team, have a good one.
Why are electoral systems important in a democracy?
We think of democracy as voting people into office,
The other side of the coin is that we would be more empowered and more accountable in politics if we could do the opposite, is vote them out when they don't deliver.
Politics is about who gets what, when and how.
If you look up on the internet as to how the head of state is chosen, it says monarchy.
We should not refer to an election as a contest.
So we should not shy away from the fact that an election is a contest. Of course, I do admit that it's not a bloody contest, or it shouldn't be a bloody contest.
It shouldn't be a bloody
people,
contest.
Fight and, of course, and
it should also not be a beauty contest.
Then it shouldn't be also a beauty contest either.
Swiss people, for example, can travel internationally with a cantonal passport, not even a national one. That's like us traveling on a Free State passport, for example.
He appealed for the disruptions to come to an end so the future of the children is not compromised.
The union said the latest offer by Eskom will condemn its members to poverty.
Samples from the 2012 London Olympic Games and 2014 Sochi Winter Games will also be retested.
Stay tuned to News Today at 3 p.m. from Monday to Friday on SABC News.
Did you go to heaven?
Kelvin is the one who created all this.
What are you fighting over? Us?
If there is 10 million in my account, it will be in the front page the next day.
Do you have 10 million?
Oh, Jesus, hold my hand. Hallelujah.
It's happening right here on Question Time today.
Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the SABC News channel.
Sobukwe is a founding member and first president of the Pan-Africanist Congress. His activism led to his incarceration on Robben Island. Now, Sobukwe has been given a voice in the form of an exhibition. His life depicted on life-size canvases. His love for family also recognized.
Even from the comments we heard from the public is saying that he's not actually recognized as a struggle icon like other icons. So they say that there's not even a school named after Robert Sobukwe. So there's really a cry in the ordinary public to say that we are not recognizing Robert Sobukwe to the best of his abilities, that he struggled for freedom as well.
For his family, a long overdue tribute.
He was a man of many interests, which he held dearly. He was a proud founding member of the Pan-Africanist Congress and very proud of his association with the Pan-Africanist Congress. But he wasn't just that. He was also a proud educationist, a teacher. It's something he held in high regard, the teaching profession, and he was that. And we want that whatever role we'd play to convey his legacy to as many people as we can.
The public intrigued by his life.
I was born in 1961, okay, and so those were the years and that. And I was always really interested in these figures, and I knew he was a great man, but not really recognized.
I think it's fantastic that they can showcase this to the world and to the people who live in South Africa. It's important.